5 reasons why you don't want to move to Gainesville, Florida. Did you know that there are only on average 16 days a year that it gets to 32 degrees or below? And I think maybe only once every 2 years, there might have been snow flurries that melted before they got to the ground. Mostly it's hot. It is, I wear t-shirts and tank tops most of the time because it's so hot. We are normally pushing 99 degrees in the summer months. And for us, summer starts at about May and goes until like October. So that's our summer when most people are getting to experience fall. It is so hot. If you're not from this area, the humidity is going to feel like it's going to kill you. And the reason I wear a lot of tank tops is because the minute you step outside, you start sweating so bad. And when you're wearing long sleeves, that armpit stains and that sweat is very, very unattractive. So I'm always trying to find stuff that breathes. The other thing with the weather is that in the summer season, which remember runs about May to October, we have rain. Some days it's just a little bit of a downfall. Some days it's like a torrential downfall for about 15 minutes, but we get rain in the summer. It rains really, really hard, and then it's humid. Like you can see the humidity coming off the ground. The steam is just everywhere. And if it wasn't already hot, it's hotter, which the weather then also brings hurricanes. Now we are inland, so we don't have as much exposure as being on the coast, but we still, those winds come across the whole state. Those rain bands come across the whole state. And sometimes the hurricane will come across the state. So the weather is definitely a con about being in Florida. The second con is the high utility bills in Gainesville. Because the weather is so hot and people are most comfortable around 72, 74 degrees, that means that when it's at 90, your AC is working overtime. And we have one of the highest utility costs in the state. So it is not uncommon for our utility costs to easily be $400 to $700. My last utility bill was just shy of $600, and it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house that's 1,900 square feet. So utility costs, number 2. Hey, but you want to stay for the last one because that's the real kicker. Number 3, we have high property taxes. They are probably one of the highest in the state. Our property taxes, we also support the University of Florida and the Shands Hospital. So that gets passed on to us residents. So if you come to this area and you are living in Alachua County and you look at your tax bill compared to Tampa or Orlando, it's hard to take in. So our property taxes is another reason why you do not want to move to Gainesville. The number 4 reason you don't want to move to Gainesville is we have a small airport. It's great if you are looking to get in and out and home very quickly, but that comes at a price because the tickets often are pretty expensive. And it is 2 hours to Jacksonville, Orlando, or Tampa, but then you're 2 hours and then you've got to get parking. You pray that there is not an accident that's going to cause a delay. So if you're catching like a 6 or 5 a.m. flight, that usually means that you're either getting up at some ridiculous hour in the morning or you're paying for a hotel the night before. Same thing if you're flying in at midnight and you're tired, you might be paying for a hotel that night. So 2 hours doesn't seem like a lot to go to a major airport, but the costs start adding up. I just recently had to book some tickets for a conference flying out of Gainesville. The tickets were like $700. And I looked at Tampa and they were $350. So for $350, I could buy a hotel. I could pay for parking. Yes, is it nice not having to drive that 2 or 3 hours each way? It is, but that's a big pill to swallow, especially if you're traveling with a family and each ticket is $350 versus $700. So not having a major airport is another reason you don't want to move to Gainesville. The 5th reason you do not want to move to Gainesville, and the most important for me, is bugs. And we're not just talking about like a snake or an alligator. I mean, at least you can see an alligator coming and you can get out of its way. But yes, we've got snakes too. I don't know who doesn't have snakes. It is the flying cockroaches. I mean, we don't just have bugs. We have palmetto bugs. And I mean, we have bugs. They are big. And you do not understand unless you are in Gainesville and one of those things comes running at you or flying at you. and they are abundant in the summer. Let's go back to reason number one, the weather. Well, I don't think they like to get wet either, because when we have that torrential downfall in the summer, they seek shelter inside. It doesn't matter how good your pest control is, because they're going to come inside and you are going to see them in your house. Doesn't matter how clean you live. I've seen them in vacant homes, and your pest control is really, really good because they're usually legs up in the air. And thank goodness they're that. So when you have pest control, they come inside and they die in your house. And then during the rainy season, they come inside and it's kind of like they're waving at you. And if you go to try to kill them, which we all do, they fly at you. I understand they're like this big sometimes, but sometimes they're like this big. And that flying at me, I don't care that I'm a million times their size. That is the most horrific thing that I can see about being in Gainesville, is the freaking bugs with the wings, that those roaches just come flying at you. A close second is the love bugs. They don't hurt you. I don't mind them swarming around me in the summer, but what I do get bothered by is they just die on your car. You're going down the road and their bodies are splattered all over your windshield, and you need to get those bodies off your car as quickly as possible. So you're spending a lot of time in the drive-through car washes, which don't get off all the bugs. And then what they do is they hit your paint, and their bodies eat away at your paint. So now you're looking at the front of your car and you're like, either I've got to start scrubbing out there in my nice outfit, or I'm going to have peeling paint on the front of my car because the love bugs' dead bodies are taking away my paint. So they're my second, but the roaches, I got to tell you, hands down, the roaches for me are absolutely the worst. I don't mind sweating. I don't mind the rain. I obviously pay the taxes and the utility bills, but the roaches, that's the kicker for me. That could be why I moved. What is your number one reason that you would not stay in Gainesville, or you would not move to Gainesville?